Hi, my name's Aiden.
And I'm Jake.
And welcome to History and Haunts. Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to episode 12
of History and Haunts.
Yes, intro over. Let's get into what we're learning about today.
We're tired today, guys. I don't know why.
Thank you for informing the people that we're tired.
It's 10 a.m. We woke up 2 hours ago. We have no reason to be tired. What?
I work for a living.
I also
that's why
work.
I'm tired.
Yeah, maybe I've just never recovered from working. It's been exhausting at work recently.
Yes, I know. Please do not let us know, because it's just the most boring story you've ever heard in your life.
I wouldn't tell them.
Look, she's yawning. Even thinking about the day. That was me.
I wouldn't tell them the story. That would be HIPAA. And for all intents and purposes, I don't tell you any stories either. But yeah, I have nothing to say, really, so let's get going.
Yep, I'm ready to get into episode 12, the Pennhurst Asylum outline.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Yes, as Jake just said, today we're covering the Pennhurst Asylum. Thought we'd cover another one because asylums are cool.
Yeah. You can't ever go wrong with an asylum, they're so crazy.
Yeah, because a lot of bad stuff happened here.
I'm sure.
And this one is perhaps one of the worst asylums I've researched. Which I've only researched 2, so.
Hey, gotta start.
Gotta start somewhere. This asylum was open for 79 years, from 1908 to 1987. So, what, that closed like 40 years ago at this point?
Yeah, probably something like that.
It's pretty relative. It's pretty recent, I guess. It was located on 1,400 acres. Isn't it crazy how these asylums just have like so much land?
I'm telling you, man, it was a, excuse me, it was a different, it seems as though
different time.
Everybody wanting land is like a new trend,
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like back in the day, that probably wasn't the thing, like to get land. Versus nowadays, it's like, well, I guess, yeah, that's why wars are started. I don't know, dude.
I just think common people couldn't afford land. It was like something they would never dream of having. So.
Well, who knows why it's on so many.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe because I think they took all these people that they thought were undesirable and moved them out into the country, and so there was a lot of land out there to get them away from society. This asylum opened under the name Eastern Pennsylvania Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic. Quite the name. It later just became known as Pennhurst. The goal of this asylum was to desegregate individuals with mental disabilities, and it was meant for people who were deemed unfit for society, such as those with not only mental but also physical disabilities. In the end, it ended up housing the mentally and physically handicapped, the criminals, the mute, deaf or blind, immigrants even, those with habits considered offensive, and orphans. So,
okay, so everybody was in that asylum.
Basically everyone, yeah. And I forgot to mention, this is located in Spring City, Pennsylvania, which is located in Chester County.
Oh.
I don't really know where that is, but
does the building still stand today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
It's a big, beautiful building.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, somewhere in Pennsylvania. As you can imagine, with it housing like all these different types of people, it became overcrowded within just a few years of being open.
When has an asylum not become overgrown?
Asylums and prisons, those are like the 2 places just instantly overcrowded. I don't know.
I don't get it.
Patients were evaluated in 3 different areas. They were, they looked at their physical health, and they were oh my gosh, I can't speak today. And they were deemed as imbeciles or insane. Then they looked at their mental health, and they were determined to be healthy or epileptic. And then they also looked at their dental health, which I thought was an odd.
So if they had a couple cavities, then they're going to the asylum?
Well, this is just how like the people at the asylum were classified by mental, physical, and dental health. And dental health could be good, poor, or treated. I also thought the categories were a little odd because, like, insane, wouldn't that be a mental thing? But they put it in the physical category.
I don't know, dude. I don't have an answer.
I don't know either. They thought about it differently back in the day, I guess. It was an almost entirely independent operation. The asylum had its own power plant, its own police, and even its own food production.
What?
So they were pretty self-sufficient, I guess. They probably had all the people there supposed to be receiving treatment doing all these laboring jobs. Over the course of its life, it served, and I use the word served pretty loosely, more like imprisoned, 10,500 people. So that's quite a few people, I guess. At its peak, it had about 3,500 people in its care, and this was in 1957. And at the time, they only had about 600 people caring for them, for the 3,500 people.
Okay.
Let's do some quick math to see what that ratio is. So for every one staff member, they cared for approximately 6 patients. I guess that's
really not that bad.
That's not too terrible.
Nope.
I don't know what the patients like their needs were.
They're probably just sitting there chilling all day, playing cards. I'm just
Being
thinking
abused.
of you never seen Good Burger?
I have.
That's how I imagine the asylum.
Isn't that the Welcome to Good Burger Hall of the Good Burger?
Yes. Yeah. Please don't say the whole thing. You don't need to.
I don't know the whole thing. Don't worry.
Oh my goodness. That's what I imagine the asylum. If you remember, you don't remember the asylum scene, do you?
No.
Yeah, they get like sent to this asylum, and like they just like are dancing, chilling, playing cards. One dude's like eating cards.
Oh.
That's what I meant. They're just sitting there chilling. Dude's trying to put like a square cube in a circle, in a circle hole.
Oh, okay.
That's how I imagine.
Well,
sound.
As you'll soon find out, this asylum is not like that.
I imagine not. That's why it's not open anymore.
That's why we're talking about it. I also don't know if those 600 people, like, were they all nursing staff or some of them, like, cooks? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows? This is actually really terrible. Over half of the people that lived at this asylum ended up dying due to poor living conditions. So they had an over 50% death rate.
How bad were these living conditions? Jeez.
Terrible. We'll get into some more of it later, but just awful. I even got some stories from people that lived there. Many of them only had learning disabilities, hyperactivity, or emotional issues, so they would be placed in high-functioning wards. Because these were things like that nowadays we'd probably just treat and people will live out in society.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But if they acted out, they were punished with work in the low-functioning wards. What this work was, I don't really know. Maybe taking care of people, cleaning.
Yeah.
In 1909, Superintendent Dr. Henry M. Weeks was charged with misconduct and negligence. So he was like in charge of the asylum at the time. Under his care, a male resident was scalded to death with hot water.
Oh, wow.
Like, makes me think of that scene in Orange is the New Black. Yeah. Horrifying.
Well, like accidentally scalded? Like just getting a hot bath or?
No, not accidental.
Oh, wow.
There was also a diphtheria outbreak where 40 patients became ill. The superintendent came to work intoxicated, and he also ignored the attendants who were beating patients. So, not a great man to be running an asylum. You should probably try to care just a little bit.
Yeah, what the heck?
In 1937, an attendant was charged with manslaughter after beating a 15-year-old to death. So young, right?
Yeah, what was wrong with that guy?
Didn't say, but I can guarantee he didn't deserve to be beat to death at 15. In 1940s,
he killed like 7 people.
At 15?
Yeah.
What year did he start
He
killing?
killed and raped 7 people, and the guards just
Oh,
this
my
is it.
God.
This is I'm done. I'm drawing the line here. He did you know what I'm saying?
He probably was just
I know.
mentally
You
ill.
imagine.
Yeah, no, that'd be a different story, I guess, but
Hey, we'll never know.
no, we won't know. Because it was in 1937, and I don't know how to find those records.
Yeah. No way that guy's living it out in prison at, 130 years old or whatever.
Sure.
Probably older than that.
Probably at this point, yeah. It's like he'd be...
If he was 40 at the time of this?
Yeah.
What is he? He's got to be 130.
If he was still alive, yeah. That'd be crazy. Oldest man alive.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1940s, the public challenged the practices at Pennhurst a little bit and other institutes at the time because they were kind of finding out about how horrid the conditions were. But despite this, Pennhurst continued to run for several more decades. In 1956, they found a body of a 17-year-old who was under the care at the asylum, drowned in the river nearby. And the river's name is Skakilkil.
Where?
Right there. Skakilkil.
No, I'm going
Skookil.
Shoekill.
Oh, Shoekilkil.
Shookakil.
Shoekilkil.
Shookakil. If you made the slightest effort to try to sound these out, you'd probably get a little better.
You know what? We're moving on from that word, guys. We don't know how to say it. In the 19...
That's the proper term. That's the proper term.
Let's look it up. I want to know.
Shookakil.
Let's see who's right. I'm sure it's you.
Or Shukaikil.
Skookle. Skookle.
That's wrong.
No, because I think it's Dutch.
Wait. Go up. I think you spelled it wrong.
No.
Shuil.
I think I spelled it wrong on my document.
Yeah, you did. You set us up for failure.
I did.
7 pages of notes over the course of 3 years.
It's a complex word. Anyway, guys, moving on from that, the kid was drowned in the Schuylkill River after being under the care of the asylum. In 1960s, they housed 2,791 people, most of whom were kids, and only 200 of these residents were enrolled in any kind of art, education, or recreation programs. So no one was getting an education here.
It almost makes you wonder if it was all kids, if it was just, the thing to do back then if you wanted to not have, a child.
Well, more if you couldn't afford them or something.
Yeah, put them, they're crazy. Put them in an asylum.
Yeah, as we'll find out, a lot of families weren't sure how to deal with their kids who had maybe a mental disability or mental illness, and so asylum was what they were recommended.
And you know what? I can understand that. Yeah. As messed up as that is, but I can understand that.
Especially back in the day, you
don't know. People don't know.
You don't know, and you don't have any support.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was probably a few kids with autism in there. Mm-hmm. Autism was probably, you don't really know what it is.
They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, the kid doesn't know what's going on, so send them away to
and
get better. Or whatever.
This is what doctors would recommend too. So it's they had professionals telling them to do this. The administration at the time and the public realized that this institution was falling very, very short. Their budget was actually $4 million short, and the buildings were at this point crumbling. So everything was very poorly maintained. No one was getting an education. And there were only 9 doctors for almost 3,000 people.
Yeah.
One stated that he dealt with difficult patients by picking an injection that would cause the most pain and administering it.
What?
So the doctors working there were kind of just assholes. They didn't even really try.
Yeah.
They also only had 11 teachers at the time, none with special education training. And obviously you're working with special needs people. You should have an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, the problem for the asylum came in 1968 when a media series came out that exposed the truth. It was a 5-part series known as Suffer Little Children. And it revealed a lot of awful and graphic details about life in the asylum. In the documentary, it showed that zoos spent more to feed their animals than the people in some of these asylums. So they're eating worse than animals at a zoo.
Jesus.
They found adults bound by their feet and hands and locked in cribs, like those big cribs.
Yep.
Yeah, they found that. They found people just rocking, twitching, and pacing. So just overall very unhappy and unhealthy. And this really led to a desire for change. And this is what kind of started the change. In 1968, a patient plunged another patient into a scalding hot tub, and the guy died because there was just no one watching these people or managing them, so they were just kind of left to do whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
In 1972, this asylum became known as the Shame of Pennsylvania, and it was described as 1,700 human beings stored away in crumbling warehouses. The urine stench of decades soaked so deeply into walls and floors that it can never be washed out.
I know. Oh, man, I can smell it.
I can imagine the smell.
Smell it, dude.
Imagine the worst, nursing home smell, and then
I was going to say, walking into nursing homes, man, that's all you smell.
Uh-huh. And then multiply that by, like, decades of just pee.
Gross, man.
Nasty.
You know, but I used to have a friend that I would go over to his house and, like, you know, real white trash. Just, you know, like myself.
Yeah. Oh my God,
that's what we were back in the day, man. And I used to go over to this dude's house, man, and he'd just be pissing in the corner of his room.
What?
Yeah, I pissed once too. I was like, you guys just pissed in the corner of your room? He was like, yeah. I was like, you don't. And he did. He literally pissed right in front of me.
Oh my God.
And then I did too. I peed right in his room with him.
You're joking.
I swear.
What the heck?
Yeah. He had an older sister. Her name was Felicia, man. Real piece of work, man. This girl, man.
Did she pee in the room?
No. Worse, man. I never I was sitting in the backyard or whatever, and we were like building a fort in the trees. And I guess to play a joke, she took a whole 2 liter of like Pepsi or Coke or something like that, poured it all over his mattress. And they didn't get him a new mattress. He slept on that thing, man. Every time I went over there, just this Pepsi soaked mattress.
I'm sorry, I just cannot get over the peeing in the corner.
I literally couldn't believe it either. You know? I don't think I've ever been that low that the bathroom was right next to his room too. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Why have you never told me this before?
I forgot about it. Peeing on the wall. It's soaking down into the corner of the room.
Where are his parents?
Gone, man. I never saw him. I don't think I ever met his family. Or his parents, rather. They were always gone.
Where is this kid now?
I don't know. I have no idea. Last time I talked to him was like middle school.
That's got to be the craziest story I've ever heard.
I used to call him Toad because all this dude did was pick up toads. I was like, where did you get all these toads from?
Toads in the corner of the room?
Yeah, and their mattresses were all on the floor. You know, the carpets were ripped up. It was...
Oh my God.
It was crazy, man.
Where was CPS when you need them?
I don't know.
They should have been there. There had to have been.
They would have been in trouble for sure, but I didn't.
Well, you were a kid yourself.
Yeah.
Where? I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But that must have stunk.
Oh, his room smelled how this is painting a picture. It's what it reminded me of.
That's probably what these people did, just piss in the corners.
Right in the corner, man. Open up a dresser drawer, just pee in the dresser drawer.
Do you think there was something wrong with your friend?
No, he was pretty normal. Actually.
He was normal, huh?
I didn't think there was nothing wrong with him. I just thought it was strange that he pissed in the corner. I probably shouldn't have peed in the corner of the room. I don't know what the hell I was saying.
Oh, why did you pee?
Well, I just did it just because he was doing it. I was like, all right.
What the heck? Oh my God. I don't even know how to continue on after that. How do you segue back into the story after that? I don't know, guys. So we're just gonna jump back in. Pretend we didn't hear that.
I'll have to hit up Toad. I'll see if I can find him. See if I can see where he's at
I'd
these
love to see
days.
where he is these days.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to look him up on our mugshot website. See if he's got any mugshots.
No, he was such a good guy, man. He was not a troublemaker at all.
Okay.
We were literally just like building stuff in the backyard, like
and peeing in the bed.
Well, yeah, I don't know why he did that. He had a what do you call it? A pug named Gizmo. And he would pull Gizmo's tail and like Gizmo would just like freak out, like, not hard, no, like, like a gentle pull. And he would be like snorting and
you're really painting this guy out. You say he's such a great guy, but he's pulling tails and pissing in rooms. Are we sure he's not a serial killer now?
He's not a serial killer.
Okay, we gotta move on. We gotta move on from that.
You keep talking about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, but it's hard to move on from that. Pennhurst was part of several civil rights lawsuits in the 1970s. The biggest one was Halderman versus Pennhurst State School and Hospital, and it was settled in 1984. It actually led to the closure of the institute 3 years later, so it brought about some good. And it paved the way for better educational opportunities and more community-based living arrangements for those with disabilities, rather than shipping them off to an asylum. There were several lawsuits filed, and it stated that caregivers would abuse patients physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and they would even go so far as to have patients bully and assault other patients. In 1976, it was found that restraints and straitjackets were very commonly used, with one female being in restraints for an insane amount of time. And when you hear these numbers, I just think about the fact that in the hospital, we're only allowed to restrain patients like 24 hours at a time, which granted, like then we can go and do it another day and whatnot, but we're always trying to get them out of restraints and giving them breaks from the restraints as long as they're not like violent, that sort of thing. So just think about that when you hear these numbers. Like, I don't even know how many days these numbers are.
All right.
In June of 1976, the lady was restrained for 651 hours and 5 minutes.
How do you get that time?
They documented it.
Oh, okay.
In August of 1976, she was restrained for 720 hours.
Continuous hours? Is that what we're talking about?
Continuous hours, yeah. In September 1976, she was restrained for 674 hours and 20 minutes. And in October 1976, she was restrained for 647 hours and 5 minutes.
Wow.
So
basically a month at a time.
Yeah, she was basically restrained for months on end because how many days are in August? 31?
31.
She was restrained for 30 out of 31 days in August.
Well, what was wrong with her? Was she trying to fight everybody?
I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
Even if though.
Even if.
All right, let's get her out of there. It's been a week.
It's been a month. It's been 4 months in a row, basically, at this point. I just thought that was insane.
That is atrocious. I could only imagine the boredom. Because
the pain.
They didn't have no TVs, probably.
Like, you're just stuck in one position. Oh, my God.
Or even them straitjackets, Oh, that would be horrible in a straitjacket. Oh, my God.
Like, was she just peeing herself, too, because they didn't care?
Obviously.
Yeah, right?
They're not letting her use the bathroom.
No. That's insane. In 1977, the federal district judge finally ordered Pennhurst to make arrangements for all residents to move to care in the community so that they could close down. And it would take some time to close down because they still had a lot of patients there.
Well, I'm sure we got to find homes and stuff for them.
In 1982, the abuse was still continuing on, though, and 9 aides were indicted for assaulting and abusing patients. In the 1980s, 640 patients were there that had been there for over 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had basically lived their entire life there. Pennhurst Asylum finally closed in 1987 when federal courts ordered it to close and move residents elsewhere. It served as a National Guard post for a little bit after this, so it it was subject to less trespassing compared to other asylums.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get into the stories of some specific people from Pennhurst. So this is the story of Roland Johnson. He was sent to Pennhurst in 1958 at the age of 12. He had an intellectual disability, and his mother could no longer cope with his disruptive behavior. She said that he was hungry all the time and would steal food, and his mother would punish him by heating a knife on the stove and then using it to burn his hands. She would also beat him with an iron cord. And she was told by like the doctors to send him to an asylum. That was like
Not herself. Not herself.
For burning her son.
And whipping him with an iron cord.
No.
And you know that mom, they probably didn't get whipping him with that cord, man.
Yeah. I guess she had other kids too, and he just was like a troublemaker. She couldn't deal with him. So Roland ended up spending 13 years at Pennhurst, during which he was sexually, emotionally, and physically abused. And he actually ended up contracting HIV from all of the abuse he suffered.
What?
I know.
That's not possible.
Well, because, if they're all abusing each other sexually and then, diseases spread.
Okay. Well, who said anything about sexually? What?
I said they are sexually, emotionally, and physically abused.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. After his release, he talked about some of the things that he saw. He said that he saw patients beating other patients with a broom. He saw a young patient that drank an entire bottle of Thorazine and died of an overdose. I'm pretty sure that's an antipsychotic.
Thorazine? Yeah. I've learned about that one. Yeah.
He also saw a friend of his that was strangled with a rope and left to die. Johnson's job at the asylum was to do the laundry and maintenance around the building, and as a punishment, he would be locked in a room and forced to scrub the walls and floors. After his release, he became a speaker and helped release people from other institutions and end their suffering. It wasn't without struggle, though, his time after being in the asylum. He moved back in with his family, but the same tensions from previously came back. Probably because,
Hey, Mom, you're the reason I went to this place and now I got AIDS.
Yeah, and it's not like he was getting any treatment or anything.
Yeah, he just went there to get beat up and came back home.
Like, he's just got more trauma now, so no wonder there were more tensions. He moved to a boarding house and left his home, but he ended up getting arrested when he got into a fight with a former patient. He eventually joined a day program, like a day psychiatric program, and life began to improve after that. Unfortunately, he died in 1994 at the age of 48 after being trapped in a house fire.
Oh, what?
What a tragic life.
I know, died in a fire at the end of it, too.
I know, and he was kind of young, not even 50
48?
yet. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's horrible.
Now, this is the story of Michael. He had cognitive disabilities, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. He was sent to Pennhurst at 4 years old after his family was advised to do so by doctors. And it was said by Michael or his family, I don't remember which said this, but that all they remember is the smell of urine and sounds of people crying in Pennhurst. Harry Morton Smith was 34 years old at the time of his admission, and he was actually the first patient at Pennhurst ever.
What?
Yep. He had seizures from 18 months old onward, and by the age of 33, he was having 10 seizures a day. So his family was told to send him here.
That's for why? They're just having seizures.
Because they thought that epilepsy could be cured. And the cure at the time was thought to be farm work.
So they're just making stuff up at this point.
They put him out in the fields, in the elements, and guess what? His seizures did not go away.
Oh, I believe it.
So in 1910, they kicked him out of Pennhurst because they couldn't cure him. Insane.
Shocker.
I know. Here's some stories from some families that there was like a website on Pennhurst where the families can like write their stories. And these are some of the ones that I found. A girl and her sister stayed there for a few months because their mother fell ill. And she said that she didn't really remember anything like negative happening, but that they were also paying Pennhurst to be there. her dad was paying them until he could, like, get things situated. And so she wonders if since their situation was different, that they were, they were allowed to have better conditions.
Yeah.
Charles Getz was placed in Pennhurst at 4 years old, and he died before he was 14. He died from bronchopneumonia, thought to be caused by the ice bath treatments they subjected him to.
What? Were they drowning him?
Well, they would put them in these baths and make them stay in the ice water.
For how long?
I don't know. Terrible. Basically torture. There was a boy named Robert admitted at the age of 8 for mental disabilities. He was very healthy, otherwise, like physically healthy, and he died 6 days later from what was said to be cardiac problems and mental deficiency. When the body was returned to his family, they found that it had bruises all over, and therefore the family thinks that Pennhurst covered up a murder, basically.
Oh, 100%.
There was a boy named Edward who lost his life due to neglect and mistreatment. And then there was a lady named Pauline who died at the age of 35 after being heavily abused. She was kept in isolation 24 hours a day. She had suffered the abuse of having all of her teeth ripped out. And she had bed sores all over, probably because
She didn't do much all day.
No, or they kept her restrained and didn't turn her every 2 hours. She ended up dying while eating cake under no supervision. So she choked, probably because she had no teeth to chew it down.
Well, cake's pretty soft,
I don't know, man. Maybe it was a really dry cake. Either way.
Yeah. How'd she get cake in a place like this?
Who knows? Very sad. Very sad.
I would love to hear the story of, like, the other end,
What?
The guy's abusing, like, what was the...
Why did you do this?
What was the reason? Like, let's hear it.
Yeah, what was your excuse for doing this?
I just can't believe that. Who would do that?
I don't know, man. Terrible.
Who would take that job?
I guess assholes?
I don't know, dude.
Crazy, right?
That don't make sense to me.
No. Why do people do the awful things they do? Who knows? So if those stories aren't haunting enough, there are some reported hauntings. There's like a group or something went there and they did the recordings, and on the recording that they took, there was several words that were said, none of which were happy. The statements were, "Go away, I'll kill you, we're upset, why do you come here, I'm scared, and why won't you leave?" There's the Quaker building, and this building has said to have shadows in the form of a small girl with black hair. There's a hunched over presence with dangling arms.
Ew.
I know. There's upper parts of bodies seen like looking over things, like over a railing or something. Doors and rocking chairs move. People are shoved on the stairway. People are scratched and left with deep red marks. Objects have been thrown. And there's overall like a negative energy thought to be demonic or a mean-spirited person. Or maybe just some pissed off people that got murdered at this place.
Yeah.
In the Limerick building, people will see a nurse in a uniform. In the Mayflower building, there's shadow people and the feeling of being touched. In the Philadelphia building, there's loud sounds and voices. And this one's actually off limit now due to the number of people who have been pushed, hit, and come out with bruises.
No way.
Yeah. My question is, if that one's off limits, why isn't the Quaker building off limits if they're coming out with scratches? The administration building, there's voices heard. There's a sound of a toilet flushing, even though there's no running water in the building. And one employee felt a tug on his shirt that was strong enough to make him tumble backwards. Finally, there's the Hershey building, and people just hear little girls' voices in there.
Wow.
So the asylum is open up for visits. They do like tours and like Halloween haunted houses. But this place, people actually are not very happy about its uses. They would I think they're mad that it's being touted as like a haunted house.
Yeah.
Because of all the abuse. And, it was pretty recent, so people's families are still alive, like sisters and brothers and
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Closed what, 1984?
Yeah.
That was not that long ago.
So there's a lot of, like, negative feedback saying that, this place should be respected and not treated as like a haunted house. And if you're gonna have it open to the public, at least tell, like, the true story.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look some videos up on this place, see if I can see any videos.
Yeah, there's videos and pictures, all sorts of stuff. Because it's pretty.
I wonder if
pretty
Ghost
popular.
Adventures did
a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I feel like they must have. This sounds crazy.
Yeah, maybe they were the ones that did the video recording that I was talking about.
They might have, yeah.
Because I know it was like a group like that did those videos. Anyway, that's the Pennhurst Asylum, guys.
Wow, that actually was really crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible one.
That is outrageous.
I know.
What a man does to another man,
Why are all these asylums just beating on people all the time, man?
I don't know. I don't know. Was there ever any good asylums?
No, that's why they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Because they were just... I think it was probably a combination of, like, they didn't know how to care for these people, so they were doing treatments that we look at as abusive, but maybe they thought they were actually helpful, like the cold water stuff.
Yeah.
And then 2, these people are all put in positions of power over these other people. And I don't know if you ever watched that. Did you ever learn about that prison experiment? It's like where they put 18 regular people in there, and they make 8 of them, or 9 of them wardens, and 9 of them prisoners. And the people who are wardens, like, eventually become abusive because they're given power.
Oh.
So it's maybe something like that.
I bet it is.
And then 3, they're clearly very understaffed. And not that that's an excuse, but I bet it just brings out the worst in people,
I'm sure. Especially, that makes a lot of sense with that sense of entitlement, because I know a lot of dickheads who are in a position of power, and it's like, oh, great,
Yeah.
So you know what? I bet that's exactly why.
And then the patients beating on patients, I mean, they're already here because they have, like, a mental health issue, and now you're putting them in these terrible conditions. Like, it's just going to exacerbate the problem.
Yep. And then, these poor people, you can't help themselves, and
no,
these other guys, they're, I'm getting so annoyed with you.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. And then next thing you know, they're just drowning them and, or whatever.
Doing whatever they're
doing.
But
then it's like, Jesus, why are you doing that?
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, I guess I can understand. Not like sympathy for them, but I could understand why.
You can see how
I can see how something like that would toilet bowl down,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Not a good place. Okay, guys, you ready for the hint for next week?
Yeah.
So next week we're in the U.S., but we're traveling to the southern state of Alabama. And this is not a house. It's not a building, but it's another little town, I guess. Another little ghost town.
Oh.
And it's pretty cool. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Sweet.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We're so glad you're still here, maybe. We would love if you... What is it? Like,
you don't even know. Oh my goodness.
Review, subscribe.
You do not sound genuine at all.
Whatever you do on Spotify. What is it, man? Why can't I remember it?
What?
Rate, review, subscribe. That's what it is. If you could rate, review, and subscribe on Spotify, we'd love you forever. That's how other people will be able to see our show. Oh, we're also available on Amazon now. Amazon Podcasts. Remember that?
That's right.
I'm trying to get it on Apple too, but Amazon is easier. And YouTube. We're also available on YouTube. We have a Gmail and an Instagram. We'd love to hear from you with questions, comments, recommendations. If you've ever been to any of these places, we'd love to hear your stories. And all of the information for how to find where we're at will be in the description of this episode. So thank you guys. Until next time.
See ya.